Alright guys, we're going to have a look at a G&G GR16 300 round magazine. Got a problem with one of them, so I'm going to be pulling it apart and seeing if I can fix it. What we've got is, with this one, this is the broken one, you can wind it, but it also go back the other way. And then we've got this one, which is a good one, which you wind it, but it won't go back the other way. So there's something wrong with the ratchet. So what we're going to do is going to pull it apart, see if we can fix it, and we'll get into it. Right, now I'm pretty sure, because this is the first time I've actually ever tried pulling one of these magazines apart, that this doesn't really actually do that much. It's just a cover, because it pops off. There's no screws or anything holding this in. So the next thing we've got is you've got a little, what looks like a pin, but I don't think it is a pin. So I'm not going to try knocking that out. What I'm going to try doing is seeing if I can lift this up and pop that out. There's a little bit of a squeeze you can put on it. It does seem to sort of like pull it out a little bit. I don't think this is going to be the easiest thing to do. You've got to try putting quite a lot of tension on that. And then getting in there. Right, that's that one done. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a little bit of plastic to pop in, see if I can get that to go over the top of that pin type thing that we'll have a look at once I get this apart. Right, that'll stop that from popping back in, but at least take the tension off, so hopefully we can get onto this one now. Here we go. Right, so that comes out easy enough. It's alright. Have a look at that. It's a little bit hard to tell if that is actually a pin that can be knocked out, or if that is actually part of the moulding. I'm thinking that's part of the moulding. Got a little magnet on the end of that. So let's see if that... Oh no, it's... So there's a possibility then that that pin can actually be knocked out rather than doing what I just done. We'll have a look. Right, I'm going to assume that's it there. Yeah, it's got to be it there. Well, so technically that's it, it's fixed. Why on earth that decided to jump like it did, I don't know, but that's a pretty easy fix. Being that we've got it apart to here, though there's things telling me that just stop, put it back together again, you've fixed it, there is also part of me that sort of like pull it apart and have a look at it. So basically then, for the ones that are sort of a bit more interested in it, let's pull it apart. Now, one of the things with these is they're a nice enough magazine, all with the rubber grip to them, which, you know, I think it does help when you're changing mags. It gives you something a little bit more solid and grippy to pull on. But there is also the case of they are very expensive for a magazine, and they are very few and far between as well. So if you can fix them, all well and good. If not, they're a little bit hard to come by. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws that have come out of there, and you've got a little tensioner. Carefully pry that off. Oh. Right, that come off pretty easy. Car park carefully, because I don't want it all just springing and bits and pieces flying everywhere, as you know. You know what it's like when you go and pull something apart and bits go all over the place and then wind up going all over the floor, and then you're crawling about on the floor trying to find a damn thing. As regards that pin, I don't think that's something you're going to be able to knock out. That feels really solid in there, and that looks like that's got a ridge on that. So it does look like you will have to actually do what I've done the first time, because you're not going to be able to, that looks like that's got a little bit of a flat to it there. So the pin will be like that, but it's like it's got a fixed washer around the middle. So if you try knocking that out, you'll most probably wind up actually breaking the magazine. So you'll have to take it apart the way I done it when we first looked at it. So basically, let's just pull that out as well. Right, so that's basically it all stripped down. There's nothing really else to actually pull apart. That seems like that's a pin in there, so there's not much else you can do. Pulling apart wise, might as well just put it back together again. And this is most probably where this is going to be a pain, because that is not going to want to drop back into that. Can pull that apart by the looks of it. If you're going to pull one of these apart, be really careful, because these springs, when they go, and they go really well. So even a possibility of putting on some eye protection. I've got glasses on, so at least that'll save my eyes just in case it did. Right, and you've got a flat spot, or flat there, and then that is ridged slightly, so that's how that's going to go back on there. So if you do have a problem trying to get this back onto there, at least you know you can pop that off. And then drop that back on there like that. Okay. And that just goes back onto that. Right, let's see if we can get this back in. That is going in there. That's going to go over there. That lines up with that there, and that lines up with that there. So that going in that way. Here's a little fiddly. Right, let's see if we can get that on there, get that on there. Just lift that over, drop that back into there. Just hold that there. Now the thing is that going to stay in place whilst I do the other stuff? Chances are no. It wants to pop off. Put that bit in last, because otherwise you're going to be doing like what I'm doing now, trying to put in bits with one hand whilst holding that spring with the other. So we can get that in there. Get that back in there. I can't get that on there whilst holding that there, and that's held in there. So that pin is going to go back in there. That's back on there. That's winding there alright. Right, so that's all of that. Say about doing up these screws. I've said about it before in one of my other videos. When you're doing up these screws, don't just put it in and turn it to do it up. Put it in as though you're trying to undo it. And if you listen, hear that donk, do it again. Right, that's where it's just gone and dropped back into the original thread, then do it up. If you just go and whack it in and do it straight up, there's a possibility you could start cutting another thread. If you cut another thread, it's just going to make it weaker, rip the thread out. So it's just literally drop it in, unwind it, hear that donk, and then do it up, and now you've gone back down the same thread as when you first took it apart. And there's no need to get hold of it and keep on turning and turning and turning to do it up as tight as you possibly can. They're pretty much in there. Once that's back in that magazine, that ain't coming apart anyway. What happened there is why that went and broke. I forgot this little pin, this little retainer. When I took that off, it wasn't really low to the surface, and now where I've just gone and wound this, that spring's gone and dropped back down in there. That's why this happened in the first place, because that wasn't pushed down hard enough. We'll get this reset again. See if I can get that back out. So winding it, but when that went and moved over like that a little bit, because that retainer wasn't on there, that allowed that to drop in. You see, now I've still got a little bit sticking out there, but that's what's going to cause that to allow that to drop back in again. So that is a problem that we can know that when I put this back together again, will be fixed. What I can do is just check this, make sure those tabs are all down well enough. And it's most probably just a case of with the manufacturing when they put it all together, because everything's just done so fast nowadays, and there's quality control is pretty well slim to none. They most probably just didn't push that in or down far enough to get that into place. Sort out the problem, because now that ain't going to be flopping about as much. And that one's flopping about a little bit. I'd sooner have that a little bit tight and it will loosen up itself over time, rather than having to keep on pulling this thing apart. Because with those, that pin there, that's a pain in the backside to do that. Right, so that's that fixed. Ain't got to worry about buying another one now. Right, so obviously putting it back in again goes in that way, because if I try putting it in that way, you can see the shape is totally wrong. So we know that is it, and that is going to go into there. Like so. We'll get it to there. Before I go and put those pins in, just double check it, make sure I didn't go and drop that back out. That's alright. No little sort of ramp for that to go up onto to help drop that in. So we are going to have to go back down this little route, just put that on there. Hopefully that will give us our ramp on this side. And we'll just gently pry that up for that side, pull that out, clip that in. Take that, slide that up onto that. Right, so there you go guys. Hope that helps anyone out, especially on, like I said, with these magazines. They are a little bit over the top on price wise, and very hard to come by as well. So hopefully that helps anyone out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys.